last 40 years. And so I'm just coming into Miami from the cold. And I was told that we actually rose a little bit. We were in the 50s now, I don't know, but when the weekend was actually very cold. And we had a very early winter. So in November we had a snowfall that we weren't expecting and we weren't ready for. And then we have a retreat place. The Brahma Kumaris have a retreat place up in the Catskills. For those of you who know New York, would know that there's a beautiful Catskill mountain range there. And it's already snowing there almost every day, very cold. And so coming to Miami into the brilliant sunshine and into the heat, I thought, wow, I'm going to have a lot of rejuvenating with the heat of the sun. But then I'm told that you're going down, your temperature is actually dropping. So you're having cooler days. And so, well, the sun is still out, and so you have longer days anyway. And I hope it doesn't get too cold, because Veronica, whom you've heard of and you know, many of you know her, and she's going to be here with you on January 15th. We went for a walk this morning, and she put on her cardigan, and I said, oh, we call her Buddy. And I said, Buddy, it's hot. She says, no, for me it's cold. So then I said, well, you know, heat and cold is a relative matter. It depends on, I suppose, how you, your body responds to it. So I'm very happy to be here with all of you in beautiful Miami and in the sunshine and in the not so hot time of the year. I was thinking of this subject that you've asked me to talk about, or the organizers here have asked me to talk about, and it is on the subject of karma. And I just wanted to ask you, what does karma mean to you? Now, I'm not asking you for a definition of the word karma. I'm asking you for what does karma mean to you? When you hear this word karma and you think about it in relation to yourself, what does it mean?
I think of that scientific theorem that every reaction has an equal opposite reaction.
Right.
Something.
Yeah. Cause and effect, yeah. Newton's law.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah. Yes?
Did you ask the meaning of karma?
Not the meaning. What does it mean to you when you hear the word karma?
Well, I will tell you.
I'd love to hear.
I'd be happy to tell you. Everything is energy, okay? We are energy. Karma is energy. Karma is life. Energy that you give out comes back full circle. That's karma.
Good. Brilliant. Anyone else?
It's kind of like a mirror image.
Right.
That's what it means.
Yes, if you want to see what you look like inside, look into the mirror of your karma. Huh?
I mean, what you put out comes back.
That's what you said.
Right.
Did you just say that too?
What?
The same thing?
Yeah. Did you say the mirror?
Good job.
Anyone else?
It helps me, it defines my life. It helps me to accept a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So your karma defines who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyone else to this side? The sister from Ghana. What's your name again?
Tammy.
Tammy. Are you from Ghana, or did you just visit
No,
Ghana?
from Canada, Montreal.
Oh, you're from Montreal, but you were just in Ghana.
I was just in Ghana, yes.
Yeah. So what does karma mean? Did you kind of figure out for Ghanaians what karma means? From a different perspective, I'm trying to get it.
I would say an inner exploration as far as karma, just knowing thyself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in addition to what was said, the cause and effect, you know, what you put out comes back. But just really just understanding who you are. In order, that will determine what it is that you should do or should not do.
Right. So your actions don't just come like that, they come
Right.
from knowing who you are.
Knowing who you
So
are.
if you want to change your karmas, you have to know who you are.
Right, live a conscious existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a reflection on your inner soul of who you really are as a person and what you want to project out. So anytime you open your mouth, think what words you're saying to the other person and consider who you're talking to and make sure that it is appropriate because it'll come back, like you said, back to haunt you if you say something negative. Negative begots negativity in karma and in life.
Good.
I think, Sister Gayatri, to me, karma, and attaching on to what Rachel said, if in fact you are looking within and you find some things about you that could be annoyances, so you have to, and I tell the class all the time, there's 3 rules. Is it necessary? This is from the teachings of, you know who.
The Dalai Lama?
Yes. Is it necessary to say it? Will it matter in 6 months? Will it matter in the lifetime? So before the words come out of your mouth, make sure, because they're going to come back to you, to haunt you, as Rachel said. So think of those 3 things. Is it necessary to say it? And to me, that's what it means.
I can sense that you're all deep thinkers, right? And so I just wanted to test the waters of how deep, you are in terms of the subject before I present my ideas. Yeah?
I was just going to say, yeah, that was just restating the book, The 4 Agreements, which somebody was trying to teach me, and it was funny. I got stuck one time and reached under a chair, and there was that book again, The 4 Agreements.
And it was by a Mexican author, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, is it kind? Is it necessary?
Yeah.
Helpful. There you go.
Helpful.
Is it helpful?
What I'm going to say is controversial in the respect that, do you feel there's a new energy today, now, on the planet than, say, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Yes, no? That was the question.
A new energy?
A new energy. A new positive, I'm going to rephrase, a new positive spiritual energy.
Well, I believe that there was a new positive spiritual energy on our planet since the 1930s.
I agree. That's my point.
Yeah.
This is where it's controversial. It's my opinion, that I'm not force-feeding anything on anybody, but it's my opinion that karma was part of a construct, a spiritual energy of the old energy that we're not experiencing anymore.
Yes, yes.
Do you agree?
Yes, yes. But I believe that, thank you all for your comments. I thought they were very deep and very thoughtful. But when we use this word karma, it translates, it's a Sanskrit word, and when you translate the word karma, it means action. Right, but when you do a study of karma, the words that are used is the philosophy of karma. So this word karma, meaning action, carries with it a philosophy. It's a spiritual science in and of itself. And so when we say to people, that's your karma, it has a negative connotation usually, in which somehow what we're saying to them is that karma means when you do bad things, it's your karma. But the philosophy of karma, as some of you have said, is whatever you put out to the universe, that is what will come back to you. What goes around comes around. Every thought you have, every word you speak, every act you do, each one has a consequence. And this consequence is inescapable. So when we talk about the philosophy of karma, one of the things we have to look at an individual level, but also at a collective level, is if the consequences are inescapable of what we think, of what we speak, of what we do, then is justice intrinsic? Is justice an intrinsic part of this philosophy of karma? And so we at Peace Village had a lawyers' retreat, just a retreat for lawyers. And so there were a gathering of lawyers there, and they were talking about the spiritual dimension of their work and their life. And so there is the letter of the law, but there's also the spirit of the law. And so it's just like the philosophy of karma. There is the action, but there is also the spirit behind the action. And normally we look at karma just at the level of the actual action, and we don't look at it from the perspective of the spirit behind the action. And so in today's world, you would look, you would understand this word spirit behind the action in a language such as, well, what was the intention behind the action? What was the purpose of that action? You know, what was the meaning? No longer we like the word definition, right? Dictionaries give definition, but human life gives meaning. So they would say, well, what was the meaning behind your words? You know? And so this is where the spirit, then we start working in the realm of the spirit behind the action. And so I wanted, first of all, to set this context because karma, you know, life is energy, as we heard. Human being is a combination of two energies. One is the energy of life, which is the soul, and the other is the energy of matter, which is the body. When we say understanding the self, when we talk about spiritual growth, when we talk about personal development, we're talking about understanding that self, that being, that life that is sometimes so elusive, because even looking in the mirror of our karmas, we're tending to see the consequences of the karma, but it's so difficult to see the creator of the karma, the one who actually did that action. And so the exploration of the self, of the soul, is very important if I'm going to attempt to understand karma and further to change a direction in my life. And why I need to understand karmas to change the direction of my life, it's because the life is the energy, but what is driving my life on this journey? What is propelling me either backward or forward? It's my karmas. So the driving force of my life on this journey that I'm on is my karma. Would be my karmas. And yet, think about it. Do we pay attention to our karmas? It's something like we were on automatic pilot.
Yes.
Right? And we're just cruising, we're just zooming like the planes. And the funny thing about a plane, when it's on automatic pilot, it has its trajectory. And so the pilot is making sure it stays on even though it's on autopilot, he's making sure that it stays on a trajectory. But what's happened to us is that we're on automatic pilot, but we don't have a trajectory. So we're going all over the place, and we're being influenced by other people's actions, and we're being, we don't know what we want anymore for ourselves. And all we can do is measure our karmas with accumulation of material things. So when people say, this journey to pursuit of happiness, for instance, what does that mean? Does it mean an accumulation, how many cars I have in my driveway, how much money I have in the bank? What does it mean? I mean, those things are good. I'm not putting them down as bad things. But on the journey of life, when I'm looking at my karmas, how do I, and looking at myself in relation to my karmas, how do I travel this road? And to understand karmas, I need to go a little bit deeper, and in understanding myself in relation to my karma, the depth that I need to go to is this road, does the road that I'm traveling carry a trajectory? And is this trajectory connected to my character? Because it is a road to character. And when one is you're looking in the mirror, but one is that you're looking down the road. You're looking at where you are now, and then you're looking at where you want to go. And so what I'll offer is a little bit of a deeper. You want to go deeper, you just want to stay on the surface. You want to go a little bit deeper, right? That's what I thought. Well, I'm going to introduce a word that you all hear about, but then it's again a word that we treat with such negativity. It's a word that carries such a heavy burden that we don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear this word. And you know what that word is?
Discipline.
Discipline, yeah. But if you're doing hatha yoga, you love discipline. Because discipline is the only thing that will make those muscles do what we want them to do. But it's gentle discipline, isn't it? So, the word, of course, discipline, but the other word is responsibility. Good, you're getting nearer. Smoke. Yeah, you're getting closer.
Love.
Love. Everybody likes love. It's not heavy. It's when it's not fulfilled it becomes heavy. But it is conscience. Right? We don't have word. We don't like it. Oh my God, I don't want to hear that word because I was taught in church about guilt. And so, this guilty conscience. I don't like it. It brings a heaviness because you know what? I've done things in my life. I've made mistakes in my life. And my conscience is there to remind me of it. And that's why I don't like conscience. But actually, spiritually, the one thing that we have, we say it's the one tool that could redirect our lives. And this one tool, if it becomes enlightened, could actually lead us out of the darkness of our karmas. The things that we have done and we don't like, but we don't know what to do with it. And so today what I wanted to bring up, when we talk about karmas and we talk about destiny, usually people think that destiny or see destiny as something that will happen no matter what. And so we become victims to our destiny. But today I want you to see destiny as an opportunity. And so we look at our conscience in relation to our destiny, but as an opportunity. And you know, opportunities open up us to this new energy that is at work, for instance. It opens us up to new realities. It makes us see that there are possibilities there that are left unexplored, and I need to explore it. it is telling me that I'm using 1 or 2 or 3 or 5% of my potential, and 95% of my potential is lying within me, dormant. So it kind of brings that up for me. But if I were to say, oh, that's my destiny, and that's what's destined for me, and that's what's going to happen, and I must just sit back and be quiet and zip my lips and don't say when things that people don't want to hear me say. I must only say things that people want to hear me say. So my conscience, I'm killing it all the time. That would be called not destiny, but that would more be called fate, F-A-T-E, in which, you know, that's my fate. That's what is deserving of me. So I stay in a codependent relationship because that's what I deserve in life. You know, my conscience is telling me I have no worth. So that's all that's deserving of me, so I'm going to stay in it. And so that's called fate. That's the darker side of it. But if we want to change the trajectory of our spiritual lives, then this conscience connected to destiny as an opportunity to bring newness into my life is what we need to understand. All right? So should I stop there?
I was going to say that I've noticed, I would just tell my mom, I call it being kicked upstairs. What we perceive as a negative sometimes is an improvement.
Right.
Like you just said, forces us to choose something better.
To choose something better. And that's the thing about when your conscience is enlightened, choice is then seen as something that carries a force with it, a force for change. Right? But if you don't have an enlightened conscience, then, you know, choice, well, what am I choosing? Between the devil and the deep blue sea? You know, what is it?
And we should always try to evolve and not stay stagnant. It is growth and its potential. Everything can be a positive. Just like Glenn was saying about negative, if you just look at a situation, two people could look at it the same way, and one could say it's positive and one could say it's negative. It's your choice. You can choose how you evolve in your life.
Yeah, but what is going to prompt that, trigger that choice? To choose to see it different. It's got to be something, it's called divine insight. It's got to be that I'm looking at something from a perspective that's beyond what I'm looking at.
Right.
Right? So
Agreed.
that's what I'm calling an enlightened conscience. Because if I just look at it, even with just a way of thinking, or a way of feeling about it, what is happening to me is that I am touching memories within me of past experiences. So when I'm looking at the external situation, what is triggering my response, or the response I'm choosing to have in relation to that external situation, is coming from perhaps memories I have within me. So it's not coming from an enlightened conscience. It's coming from what I experienced, and so I'm taking that and I'm saying, well, this is what I'm bringing out, and I'm kind of reacting to the situation. So that will cause a reaction, and so the choice factor becomes kind of submerged in the patterns that I have that are stored within me as memories. So we have to go beyond the inner memories that we carry about things and see the moment now as a moment in which it's offering an opportunity to create new memories. And so how do I create those new memories? So I just want to go a little bit more, so I'll take one more question and then I can go to the point I want, so I'll take one.
No, when you talk about conscience, I was thinking the most important is to know who we are as a person.
Right.
In that way, we can see the other, what we need to change.
Yes.
If we don't have consciousness, be awake, and not a way to see what other people does,
Right.
what I do,
Yeah.
what I collaborate for I say something wrong, something that can hurt. Don't watch other people. Watch yourself. And that's when I feel that way.
No, you're right.
I develop my conscience that for develop my conscience, I have to stop see how the rest acting. You know, I see myself.
Right, but you have to do that by being on the field of action.
Exactly.
And the field of action is what other people are doing.
Exactly.
So no man is an island, no island is an island. You know, we are interdependent and we are interconnected. So the point of an awakened conscience, you're right, I have to go within me, but I cannot shut myself in my closet to do it.
What I mean is watch my actions.
Right, but I'm watching my response to the action, not the action. It's by the time you've done the action, there's a consequence. So what you're actually watching, not the action, but you're looking at the consequence of the action. Or, or you're looking at how am I going to respond now to that consequence. So that's where the choice comes. That's the choice point. That now, and to support what you just said, in order to make that choice point something of value, to bring value to my response, I have to know who I am. Otherwise, I won't be able to do it. So, brother, what did you want to say? And then I will continue to the next level because I have to stop soon.
Sorry, sure. I was thinking of Sister's book I read, Soul Power. Sister Nikki was talking about what happens when you know.
Right.
Memory is different from conscience. Memory is like a body and everything we carry along.
It's like a
conscience
network.
Is like a light. When it sparks, then they say when conscience sparks, choices erupt.
Right.
Sorry to bring this into it. When you go to Madhava, the thing there sparks you. Creates a different conscience, choices erupt. People make choices there. They don't go back to their weaknesses again because something has sparked. So conscience can be sparked by what you hear, the environment where you are, who you meet. In this place where we're sharing energy, conscience is sparking. Choices are being made.
Thank you for that, because the next thing I was going is to use conscience as a light. Because we're actually in the season of lights now. So we just finished Diwali, and we lit a lot of lights for Diwali, and now we're into Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to everyone who's celebrating it. And I remember last year I took a conscious decision to celebrate Hanukkah. And so I invited some of our friends from the Great Neck area in Long Island to come over to the center, because that's where the center is, so that they could, and they were Jewish, to teach me how to celebrate Hanukkah, because I didn't know. And so every evening we would do meditation, and then we would light the candles. And then they would explain a little bit to me about it, and then we would go into, as a collective, it used to be like 8 or so of us, into the deep, to get the gifts then from the divine, the gifts from God, that every time you lit the candles, you got a gift every day. And so that for me is that the season of light, and then we're entering into Christmas, right, in which we're going to be lighting the Christmas tree, then we enter into Kwanzaa, and then into the Epiphany next year. And so conscience is like that, is that when we light that candle, whether we're in Madhuban or whether we're here, and we light a candle, whether I'm in the privacy of my home and I'm doing, about to do meditation, I want to light that light. Think about it as I'm sparking, I'm igniting my conscience. Now, I've made a list of some of the lights when I become aware of myself as this life force, this being. And when I start to see the distinctions of myself, because one of the most beautiful things about self-realization is I begin to see myself as an integrated whole, but also with certain distinctions. So I begin to see that I think, for instance, well, the distinctions of my thinking is that my thoughts could be good, my thoughts could be bad, my thoughts could be elevated, my thoughts can be, down. It could bring me down. My thoughts could be negative. My thoughts could be positive. My thoughts could sometimes be neutral. So I start to see these distinctions in my actual thoughts, which is very fascinating. Because once I could see the distinctions, then I'm able to change. The other thing about me is that I see my intellect. I see some of the abilities. When we use the word intellect, we tend to see ourselves as the world taught us that you're intellectuals, you're cognitive beings, you live in your head, But the intellect, now when you come on a spiritual path, they say you have to live in your heart. You have to touch your feelings. You have to get in touch with your feelings because we have shut our feelings off with our intellect. And we begin to see, well, the intellect is not all intellectual. Because there's a love that lives in the intellect too. There's a love that lives in the heart. But there's a love that lives in the intellect. And this love that lives in the intellect allows me to discern right from wrong and truth from falsehood. So the intellect is where the conscience also lives. And so an enlightened conscience is actually, it lights up the soul. It lights up, as the song says, my life. Because I'm no longer, when my conscience is enlightened, I'm no longer suppressing things I cannot deal with. And so the heaviness that we experience as human beings is the heaviness of unresolved issues. So as the sister says, when we start using our conscience, our enlightened conscience, we begin, that light shines on us. It doesn't shine out there. It shines on who we are, and it shines on where we went wrong and how we can correct what it is that through our ignorance, through our darkness, we have done. And this is why, the beautiful thing that I think Marion Williamson has ever said, and then of course, Nelson Mandela got credited for it and became known, is that we're not so much afraid, of our darkness, we're afraid of our light. Because when we see what that inner conscience shows us, sometimes we don't have the courage to act on it. And so the spiritual development, the connection to God, will then give us that courage to act on that which we know I have to change. But before I change, I have to accept it. I can't change something if I don't accept it. I'm still fighting with it. So I have to change it. So let me just give you some lights that would light up your conscience. And then I'll end there. I'll stop there because then I would have gone way over my time.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So the first light of awakening the conscience is what I call the great light. It's the great understanding. Understanding is a light. When that aha moment goes off, that's light. The soul lights up. And so the first light is what we heard already in the room. Whatever we put into the universe comes right back to us. That light must go on. And then, so I would choose. Whatever I put out there, I want to come back to me. So what do I want to come back to me? That's your choice point. The second is the law of creating. The philosophy of karma teaches us that we can be co-creators of our destiny. Isn't that what it says?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So the light of creation, the light of being a co-creator, is to understand that I just can't sit back and think life happens. It just doesn't happen. I would be so passive. I would be so like, okay, whatever is, it's fate, I'm deserving of it. That's going to be my state. But it's also, I have to make it happen. And what am I doing to make it happen? That's the light of the conscience. You're speaking to your conscience. But what are you doing to make it happen? Guide me here. Because that's your moral compass, your conscience. Guide me here. What is it I should be doing? Where is it I should be headed? The other light we also heard about, and it's actually connected to greatness. No one can be great if they don't have humility. Humility is the foundation for greatness spiritually. And so this light of humility, it's a very beautiful thing. It's like serenity prayer. Lord, give me the wisdom to accept that which I cannot change. But spirituality is saying, the light of the conscience is saying, before you can change something, you have to accept it. Don't fight with it. You cannot change if you're fighting, if you're struggling. But you have to accept it. And then the wisdom emerges from your conscience in terms of, how do I change it? Your inner truth is awoken. And once the waking up of that inner truth, you know what it is. So when people say, I'm speaking the truth, the moment they say it in words, you know it's not true. Truth is revealed. Truth is not convinced. You don't convince someone of a truth.
I disagree.
Because truth...
Most people don't agree with you and then they jump on the bandwagon.
Right, but within you, your conscience will tell you what is true or what is not true for you.
Yeah.
And nobody could convince you otherwise. So it's, again, the light of your conscience. The other light is the light of growth. The karma philosophy is, and the light of the conscience is your opportunity to grow. So what did I put down here for growth? It's a great one. Is that growth happens when you change your awareness. So your conscience will connect you to what awareness you should have before you can grow out of something. Because the conscience is like your moral compass, but it is also a detergent. It's helping you to clean up your unresolved things within. So I have lots more, but maybe I'll stop there. And we can do some meditation, and maybe you can ask me some questions. But I would like you to continue. When people reach a certain age, they say, we had another retreat in creating your bucket list. And I'm saying we should be creating a list of the lights of our conscience. So for this season of lights, as you continue, do this. I've, kind of sparked you off with a few. But think about it. What is the light in my conscience that I want to ignite today? And for the rest of the year, we usually prepare for our New Year resolutions, which we make 1 minute and break it the next. So let's make a list of the light in our conscience that we would like to awaken. And know that I don't have to do anything further than that. But that light that got awoken in my conscience will change my actions in the most miraculous, beautiful ways. And it's the effort that brings the reward. No reward can be reaped without an effort made. In spiritual language, I'm talking. And so when I make that effort, my conscience will become something that would light my path. I don't have to wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. But before I actually do the action, the conscience would have set the trajectory. And then the action would follow that trajectory. And so it would be my awareness that got awakened. Yeah, this is who I am. This is what is intrinsic within me. My goodness, my love, my peace, all those qualities that we talk about. That sets an inner trajectory. And then the conscience says, yeah, this is the action you should do. And it becomes crystal clear. And those are consequences that allow for life to flourish. Those, that what goes around comes around, I begin to enjoy the cycle of life. Right? And so life becomes, it moves from wanting to be something into being that which I want. There's a difference in which I want to be something, but then an enlightened conscience allows the being to be that in the moment.
Does that make your destiny?
And then, of course, you're co-creating your destiny. That's what destiny is all about. So thank you all for listening. I really enjoyed talking to you.
You have all been awakened now. Yes?